Hello and sunny Bonani. It's 8 after 8 Central African time. It is a Thursday. It's the top tier of Racing League action. I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for making BrakeAway Racing League your league of choice this evening. Welcome to the sprint race. As those of you who are keenly watching will have noticed, Tindo has just snuck back into the lobby, but probably not on time to start the sprint race. So sadly for Tindo, he may yet have to wait until the sprint is over. But look, on the panel on your right-hand side, we have Sonny Hashira, the 86er, Don Ravico, Man Ray, Loveness, Fensei, Romeo, a.k.a. Mandla, Donovan Laka is back, as is Kaboza, Ben Kobe, Tsepo Temba, and Gawako, a.k.a. D-Wax, Bongani, a.k.a. Debo Croc, and, of course, Zotal. Peace is already in the comments section. It's good to have you, as always, Peace, and everybody else who has just joined us. You're in for some fantastic racing, aided by nothing other than the weather. Would you look at that? Moteo was in the comment section. That is none other than the superstar Tier 1 driver, Mex, who sadly could not or cannot join the sprint race owing to his PlayStation, which he says in the comment section is currently rebooting or reloading or updating. So yeah, sorry for that. Next we get an interesting view of the Paddock Club, the plush seats out here in Silverstone in Britain. It's the British Grand Prix. Welcome. As you can see, we got a nice shot there of the Red Bull Garage, Man Ray and Zotal, the teammates there, conspiring with the likes of Messrs. Horner and Marco and everybody there. We also have the Ferrari garage currently occupied by a driver whose name I cannot see clearly here. But what I do know with crystal clarity is that we're set for a fantastic sprint race. It's 4 lights, it's 5 lights. It's the only time South Africa's look forward to the lights going out. It is go for the sprint race. Fensei leads. No, as I say that, it's Ban Covey into turn 1. And it is Ban Covey into legal races. And Williams has gone wide and comes back into the track. It's Steve Croc, who's now up to P4. Ban Covey holds the lead from Fensei. What a start from the Alfa Romeo driver. Sensational stuff by Ban Covey. He's now got almost half a second. It's 6/10 of a second. It's a fantastic start by Ban Covey, who is absolutely sailing in the race lead, and Fensei tries to fight back at the beginning of this race. It's Tsepo Temba currently P3, Bongani, Debo Croc P4, and he's being chased by none other than Ingawako, aka D-Wax. Remember, in breakaway sprint races, we have a reverse grid order. So, in the order of the championship is essentially reversed. So, those who are highest in the championship order start from the very back. And speaking of that, they've already made their way all the way up the grid. And I'm speaking now, of course, about the likes of Don Ravigo, who has gained 5 places since the start of this race. You hop on board with Don Ravigo, who makes light work of the 86er, now up 6 places since the start of this race. The 86er got his work cut out. He is still languishing in P9, the position where he started. Donovan Laka has slipped down 2 positions. Zotal has gained 2. And one of the biggest losers is Sonny Hashira, who has dropped an entire 6 positions. And Gawako, a.k.a. D-Wax, having a moment there with Loveness, who staked his claim on that P6 spot. And now they're side by side, but it is absolutely, huge contact, putting Gawako, a.k.a. D-Wax, comes off a little bit second best, and Loveness goes through there with the trademark aggression, if you will. And there's a huge scrap between Don Ravico and the 86er once again. They're running side by side now down towards turn 1. They've begun the second lap. Oh, it's huge contact. It's the 86er and Don Ravico who made contact, I believe, with a car who's moving backwards. Was that Don Van Laka? No, he's back in the pits, but we saw that huge moment of contact over there. I can barely keep up with all the action. Lap number 2 of 9, and here comes Don Ravico now in the inside of the Galacco D-Wax. It's a clean overtake. It's P7 for the Aston Martin driver. As I catch my breath, let's go back up to the top. Tsepo Temba started P4. He is now up to P3, eyeing Fensei. On board now, we go with the Alpha Tauri driver, Debo Croc. Bongani is behind him. We're on board now with Tsepo Temba, who had a brilliant race last time out, finishing at the points, coming home P6. Right now, he's got a chance to finish on the podium of this sprint race. It's a long way to go still. Lap number 2 of 9. It is advantage Ban Kobe, who has sailed to start control of this race. 2.3 seconds ahead of the pack is Ban Kobe. Now on board with Tsepo Temba. It is going to be the cleanest, the simplest potentially of overtakes side by side down towards a Stowe. but not quite getting that move done. Oh, yes, he has a Seppo Temba. So it's beautiful stuff. Fensei will bide his time now into the Vale Chicane and hang on, hopefully, to Seppo Temba's DRS. Ben Kobe is way out of the DRS. They cannot catch him. As we now get a sense of what the tire choice strategies are for all these drivers. It's Fensei currently running in P3 on that soft compounded tire. Zotao and DWAX are one of only 4 drivers alongside Kaboza and Manray who chose the medium compounded tire. And Fensei has a little bit of a snap on the exit of that particular corner. Debo Croc still running in P4. It's Mandla in P5, and he's currently mired in a DRS train under duress. Mandla is putting Debo Croc on Gani under pressure, but right now it is Don Radical who may yet have a say on Mandla's P5 spot if the Haas driver is not careful. Is running very well as Mandla, currently P5. Don Radical looking to stake his claim on that P6 spot. Jonathan Laka came, a cropper, if you will, in the initial couple of laps. He's all the way down in P14. Loveness is currently running in P7, well within touching distance of Don Radical ahead of him. Debo Croc and Fensei have since switched positions, and someone is tumbling. It's Seppo Temba, who's had a huge moment here in Sector 2. Oh, that wing is completely gone. Front left wing end play for Seppo Temba, who was in contention for a possible podium finish in the sprint race and a potential top 3 start in the feature race. Now is running without a wing. Now is under attack, and it's 2 cars that pass him, that being Sun Hashra and the 86er, making light work of the stricken Seppo Temba. The 86er, who's been involved in his fair share of battles since this sprint race has started, now finds himself in P9 as Seppo Temba tumbles into the pit lane, limps into the pit lane, so to speak, and will now have to contend with fighting all the way at the back of the pack. The 86er currently running P9, trying to give Sun Hashira something to think about. But as I say that, he slips marginally out of Sun Hashira. Oh, dear it! What's going on with Sun Hashira? He sent it straight into the wall. Losing grip, losing control. Royal Rumble, says Dindo in the comment section, barely believing what we're seeing here. And Gawako, D-Wax, we saw have a huge moment earlier on. He could have had a fantastic race, but that moment of contact costing Gawako D-Wax dearly. Currently running at P11. Man Ray is currently running at P12 on those medium compound tires. Jonathan Laka had to pit, of course, taking early damage. He's P13. Seppo Temba, we saw, was stricken early on, running in P14. Back to the front of the pack we go. Van Kobe has been sensational as the 86er becomes the first driver to rack up a 3-second time penalty in the 4th of 9 laps in this sprint race. Thank you for joining BrakeAway Racing League action. Don Radical makes his way now up to P2, overtaking Debo Croc. But as I say that, Mandla is having the fight of his life, and it's going to be a huge scrap down into the Vale Chicane. They give each other a little bit of room, but Debo Croc takes the early advantage now through the final quarter. Oh, as I say that, it's a huge snap for Mandla. Loses ground. Oh, on the outside, it's the Haas of Loveness. The teammates making contact in the rush towards turn 1. Mandla on the inside line. A little bit of contact, but Loveness says, I will go straight through up to P5. It is fights. It is battles. It is scraps. It is moments of contact all throughout this race, and I can barely keep up. I can barely take a sip of my tea here as I'm seated, of course, with none other than Bretox, who has to reflect on some of the action that we've seen. Yes, they're chasing, they're crashing, they're having, of course, moments of contact, but, this is a competitive league racing action, and as much as their teammates, it is a sense of Guluba for himself. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. The Guluba for himself. We're on board now with Zotao medium compound tires. Has not quite been able to make the kind of inroads as the likes of John Radico, who is now hunting down Bad Kobe, but it's still a job well done for Zotao, who has claimed his fair share of podiums in feature races this season. And right now, Zotao has Mandla in his sights, in his crosshairs, in his DRS range. And now he opens up that rear wing down this straight. And surely Zotao will have enough in the tank, enough in the bag, enough in that Red Bull RB19 to go for it. And it's absolutely sensational stuff by Zotao, who now moves up to P6. Thank you, El-Wazi in the comment section for all of that positive feedback. We appreciate all of you in the comment section. Thank you for choosing BrakeAway Racing League action. It is now race lap number 6 of a total 9 in this sensational sprint race. And I tell you what, folks, if we have dry conditions in the feature race, we are in for some sensational Racing League action. Do remember, we have a couple of drivers, the likes of Mex, who will be joining the feature race, having not started the sprint race now, as we get this beautiful sweeping helicopter shot of Zotal's RP19 in the hunt of Loveness next up. And speaking of Loveness, it is the Haas driver versus Bongani, aka Debo Croc. P4, P5, and even Fensei is within touching distance here as we get this lovely overhead shot. It is not Loveness lining it up. Loveness will be taking full advantage come the next DRS straight. He is oh so close down through Cobb's corner, and Debo Croc almost flirting with the track limits there as Loveness puts him under pressure now through Magus and Beckett. Debo Croc, taking a weird line. Loveness almost making a little bit of contact. It is the smoothest of overtakes. Loveness, ice cold veins, and now up to P4. And I tell you what, he is someone that could very well be fighting and claiming those podium spots without too much time to spare. On board now with the Haas driver we go. A sensational sprint by the Haas driver who had that moment with his teammates a little bit earlier on. And right now, it is Fensei in his crosshairs. Fensei, who himself is trying to hang on to those podium spots. Fensei is, of course, 4.8 seconds behind the P2 running Don Ravigo, who started all the way at the back of the sprint race, it must be said. So as far as, driver of the sprint race is concerned, I wouldn't go too far further than Don Ravigo, who has gone from P14 to P2. We're on board now. Loveness versus Fensei. It is the battle for the podium spot in this sprint race. What a sensational move that was by Loveness to claim this P4 spot. And once again, he is not letting Fensei breathe for a second. Will Fensei feel the pressure? Will Fensei go offline? Will Fensei crumble under the pressure of Loveness? Well, time will tell, folks. We've got 2 laps to settle this. To settle the P3 spot and the final podium spot. And don't you forget, possibly, the race leader, as Loveness coming through that corner there, taking too much of the curve, losing a little bit of ground there, as Fensei, under pressure, racks up a 3-second time penalty. And as things stand, Loveness does not even have to affect the overtake, because Fensei, having flirted too often with the track limits, will be racking up a 3-second time penalty, which will cost him that podium spot. But Loveness will want to overtake the man on track anyway, as is customary in the BrakeAway Racing League. Back on board with Loveness we go. If you've just joined us, it has been a sensationally entertaining sprint race. Welcome to BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to Loveness potentially snatching P3 from Fensei on track. They now are about to start lap number 8, the penultimate lap. It is Loveness right on his gearbox. Loveness giving absolutely nothing away. No breathing whatsoever as the time penalties are now trickling in ever so slowly. What a beautiful sprint race we've had. And as I say that, a word of caution to Van Kobe, who was on the verge of being caught despite having an almost 3-second advantage at the front of the pack some laps ago. He now is on the verge of being overtaken on the penultimate lap. And the man who started at the back of this 14-driver pack, Don Ravico, the championship leader, the de facto new champion of the top-tier BrakeAway League Racing, has once again put on a masterclass of league racing, a masterclass of driving in the top tier of this league. And look how much pressure he's putting Van Kobe under. Look how tighter his lines are. Look how much he hugs the apex of those corners. That red light is flashing on the back of Van Kobe's car, meaning that battery is down to its last scraps. Here comes Don Ravico down towards Stowe Corner. Can he get it done? Not yet. Not quite yet, but the Vale Chicane may be the spot where P2 becomes P1, where P2 becomes a potential sprint race victory and a top step of the sprint race podium for Don Ravico. Once again, will it be getting it done? They now begin the final lap. It's Don Ravico versus Van Kobe, who goes defensive somewhat down towards turn 1, trying to make that Alfa Romeo as wide as possible. But could it be wide enough? The answer is yes, at least coming through these initial sequences of corners. He's fighting for his life on those aged soft tires. Of course, is Van Kobe 8 laps old, Same as Don Radical, who now will go for it. Look at that battery being used, that ERS being deployed down towards this left-hander. A little bit of contact. It's Don Radical into the lead in the final lap of the sprint race. Sensational stuff once again from the new king of the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League. As Ronald Pipe says, that Alpha is harvesting battery power for its life. Ban Kobe huffed. He puffed, but he could not dislodge Don Radical from the top step of the podium once again in lap number 9 of 9. It's been a gallant effort by Ban Kobe, who was sensational off the start, but was overtaken at the last hurdle by the Don Radical. Back with Loveness we go, who has been pressurizing Fensei. Loveness knows that all he needs to do is just, stay in touch here, but knowing Loveness, he's going to want to get this overtake done, despite that time penalty that Fensei will have to contend with. So we will see how that goes. But a word of appreciation, a word of applause. We dip our hats to Don Radical, who will come across the line to win the sprint race here in Silverstone. It's going to be Ban Kobe in P2, and although Fensei may cross the line P3, that time penalty will see him tumble down the order because Loveness will claim P3, Bongani, Debo Croc P4 in the sprint race, Fensei P5 with that time penalty. Mandla, who had some moments of, entertaining moments in the sprint, will come home P6. Zotal P7. The 86er, Galwatang P8. Kaboza P9. Remember, the last of the sprint race points will be claimed. That is 1 point towards the 86er. Kaboza Sunhastra P9 and P10. And Gobacco D-Wax. Unfortunate to have that moment of contact earlier on. P11 for him. Donovan Laka P12. Man Ray P12. And Seppo Temba, who had that huge moment while we were watching him, will finish the sprint race in P14. Man, oh man, oh man. The order that you see them finishing the sprint race is how they will begin the feature race. What a sensationally entertaining race that was, as we now see Seppo Temba make his way back at the end of the sprint race, and they will now have a very, very quick turnaround. As you can see, a full complement of sprint race points for Don Radical. Ban Kobe, 7 additional championship points. A good day for Alfa Romeo. Loveness will claim 6 points. 5 for Bongani, Debo, Croc, Fensei 4. Mandla will claim 3 points. Zotal 2. And the 86er, the final of the sprint race points. It's, good effort, but sadly no points for the likes of Kaboza, Sunhashra, and Gabacco D-Wax, Don Van Laka, Man Ray, and Seppo Temba. That's how it is, folks. Driver of the day, voted by the system, was Don Radical. Started 14th, finished P1. Look at Loveness as well. Started 12th. And really enjoys himself in these conditions on this track. From P12 to P3, a sensational drive by Loveness, showing his class once again, a veteran of the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Well, folks, I want to hear your predictions, what you're expecting as far as feature race performances are concerned. We should have an absolute scorcher, especially if the weather allows. And, well, as we take an early look, it looks like blue skies, clear weather. We're going to have a very, very good day of racing. Once again, the Paddock Club, the plush seats, people cheering on. From the comfort of, some good catering and some good music, I've been told. We're now going to get a sense of who will be joining the fray. Looks like Tindo has made it into the feature race lobby, which is good for him. He might be in the colors of Ferrari today, but Tindo is nominally an Alpine driver. Tindo came home P9 in the recent race, in last week's race at the Circuit of the Americas. His teammate Max came home P3. Max has been sensational, his second season in the top tier, and has claimed 3 podium finishes, all of them P3. So Max in a rich vein of form. Would have been dismayed at not taking part in the sprint race, and will have to fight his way all the way from the back of the pack. But we still expect some sensational entertainment, and thank you for joining BrakeAway Racing League. It is 4 lights, 5 lights, the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out. We're racing in Silverstone. It is Don Ravigal from Bankobi, whose race starts are legendary, but this time he tucks into the slipstream of the Aston Martin. It's P1 and P2 for Don Ravigal and Bankobi. Look at Loveness, still P3 from Fence, who has now gained that spot. He's now up to P4. It is Zotal fighting for his life, P5. Will he slip? No, he does not. He hangs on. Bankobi versus Loveness is a fight to watch. Oh, they make a little bit of contact. Loveness has slipped down to P4. Bankobi to P3. Fence, sensational stuff. Taking full advantage as a Ferrari driver, even though he's fallen 1.2 seconds behind the race leader. He's up to P2. Bankobi trying to fight back with Loveness. He's now on the inside as Bankobi. Wheel to wheel to make a little bit of contact. And Bankobi is now up back to P3. He's going to look to reclaim that P2 spot. So not such a great start for Bankobi. Loveness P4. Zotal currently running in P5. Bangani, Debo Croc, P6 from Mandla, who was running in P7. It is a sensational DRS change to start things off as D-Wax fights with the 86er. They ban wheels, they make contact, but it is still advantage D-Wax, who makes sure that he hangs on to that P10 spot. Jonathan Laka is there and thereabouts. P12 currently. Tepo Temba looking to have his say. Oh, it's a huge moment of contact. The 86er D-Wax and Tindo, who had that huge moment. It is a huge moment. Ngawako D-Wax started the sprint race under acrimonious circumstances, but sadly, it's the same story in the feature race as well, and Tepo Temba has just had another moment now. He's tumbling down to the back of the pack once again as Don Ravigal crosses the line. P1, 132.278. He has a 4.2 second advantage by the end of the first lap. It's crazy stuff. As Composer racks up a 3-second time penalty, we now are on board with Loveness, who's trying to overtake Bankobi, who in the melee that we've just seen, Bankobi fought his way back up to P2, and the 86er becomes the first driver to crash out, to retire from the race, bringing out a virtual safety car. What in the world happened to the 86er? It's a moment that happened off camera, as Buddha in the comment section can barely believe some of the amateurish racecraft that we're seeing in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Man, oh man, oh man. Well, as we said in the races last week, perhaps this long mid-season break has really left the drivers way too rusty. The virtual safety car has come out. Racing essentially has been suspended. No overtakes allowed. They slowed down to about 30% of their normal race pace, and well, until that incident is cleared, it's going to be virtual safety car, which will soon end. Don Ravigal, Bankobi, P1 and 2. Loveness is currently P3. Sun Hasher and Fence having a moment, just trying to slow down, not to fall foul, because if you speed under the virtual safety car, you'll earn a time penalty. I wonder what happened between Kaposa and the 86er. That is a good question. Virtual safety car should soon be ending. Sun Hasher P5, Debo Croc P6, Donathan Laka P7. Man Ray P8, Zotal 9th, Tindo 10th, Mandla 11th, Sepo Temba P12, Igawako, aka D-Wax P13, and Kabosa, whose penalty may have been dished out because of contact with the 86er, now comes into the pits. Yeah, broken wing for Kabosa. He will now fit a new front wing. Don Ravigal has daylight between himself and Loveness, who's currently running in P2. Loveness overtaking Bankobi at the race restart, seemingly, because Bankobi was P2, not anymore. A yellow flag in Sector 1, I do wonder who that is for. We will catch up with that a little bit later. Loveness already trimming that gap by a fair few tenths within the space of a single sector, so wasting no time is Loveness, and Bankobi will have his work cut out to catch up with the man who's really enjoying himself. And as I say that, Bankobi has already slipped to more than a second behind Loveness, 1.3, 1.4 seconds. So Loveness seemingly in a class of his own here alongside the likes of Don Ravigal. Bankobi better be careful because the specter of fencing, the Ferrari, is looming behind. Fence racked up a 3-second time penalty of the feature race. He's going to have to watch track limits this time to make sure he does not fall foul once again. Sun Hashira, P5 being hunted down by Bongani, a.k.a. Debo Croc. We will hop on board with the Williams driver to see exactly how this fares, as we also get a glimpse of the tire strategies in the early part of this race. Interestingly, Don Ravigal Loveness had opted for their soft compound of tires. as did this man, Bongani, a.k.a. Debo Croc. Donovan Lacka, Zotal, and Mandla behind him have opted for those mediums, and then we have a mixed bag of hard compound tires, as well as Cabozo, who has just come out of the pits for a brand new set of medium compound tires. It is lap number 4 of 26. Welcome to the top tier of BrakeAway League Racing. We're on board with Debo Croc, who's trying to make inroads in that battle versus Sun Hashra, the battle for P5. Lap 4 of 26. If you just joined us, thank you for choosing BrakeAway Racing League. We're going to hop on board now with Tindo, who had to begin this race from the back of the pack, having missed the sprint race. He's now trying to make inroads and fight his way up the standings. Sadly, it seems that Mex did not make it into the lobby. We saw Mex in the comment section saying his system was rebooting. So now the drivers at the back of the pack, ahead of Bingo Wacko and Caboza, are this man, Seppo Temba. And ahead of him are the Ferrari and Red Bull of Tindo today, and Man Ray. We know Tindo is, of course, an Alpine driver, but today is commandeering that Ferrari. And Bankobi further ahead has slipped down. I say that, it's not quite. He slipped down and then he reclaimed that spot versus Fence. So we're going to hop on board now with this battle, which seems to be raging quite nicely. Ooh, a little bit of a moment there by Fence. Oh, he goes completely off track trying to catch Bankobi. And Sun Hasher will say thank you very much, not needing a second invitation to claim that P4 spot. Fence with a crucial error. And now his car is really glitchy here, but he went onto the grass. And Sun Hashira did not need a second invitation, as the glitchy Ferrari has now slipped down to P5. So battles pretty much all over the track here. Both Fence and Sun Hashira will have DRS, and Bankobi will do well to keep both of them at bay. Ooh, Sun Hashira taking a much tighter line through that apex of that particular corner, as Fence once again having a moment. Almost touching the grass there briefly. We saw that huge moment earlier on. Right now, through cops, he comes oh so close to making contact with Sun Hashira, but he eased off the throttle there and made sure that it was not terminal. Oh, Fence once again. 3-second time penalty early in the race. It's only lap 5 of 26. But Fence, we had already seen him taking liberties with the track limits. And Bankobi is trying to keep Sun Hashira at bay. I think I saw a hint of a red light flashing on the back of that Alfa Romeo of Bankobi. Now into the Vale chicane they come. Fence trying to make sure that those two cars do not leave him. Oh, he has a huge snap. That's Fence one more time. Loses a little bit of ground to Sun Hashira, and Bankobi once again has used up about half of his battery power trying to stay in touch with the drivers in P3 and 4 respectively. Fence in the fight of his life. Remember, folks, Fence is a driver who has not had things go his way, not at all. He's already had 2 DNFs this season. Fence crashed out in Miami, crashed out in Abu Dhabi, did not start the races in Imola, Monaco, and Australia. So, is a man who is in desperate need for points, as Fence. Cannot afford any mishaps in this race. As things currently stand, Fence is second from the bottom. Before today's race started, he had only 2 championship points. He is desperate, is the Ferrari driver, for a semblance of momentum and a decent collection of points, but he is really fighting with the track limits here. He's all over the place, is Fence. Is not having such a great time, but as he slips further behind Sun Hashira, Bongani, aka Debo Croc, inches closer and closer, as does Donovan Lacka. We'll hop on board with Donovan Lacka, the McLaren driver, who is currently P9 in the championship with a 26 total championship points this season, is looking to improve on that. Started on the medium compound tires. Will, of course, have a tire advantage at this particular point. Debo Croc, who started on the soft tires, will surely be feeling that grip start to slip away slowly but surely, as we now make our way through the 7th of 26 total laps. And just watch how much tighter of a line Donathan Laka takes, and how many tenths he manages to eke out in that hunt towards the P6 spot currently occupied by Bongani, aka Debo Croc, who has racked up a 3-second time penalty alongside the likes of Fence and Kaboza, who is currently running all the way down in P14. We will reconnect with Donathan Laka as we now give you a sense of how this grid is looking. Ngawako DWAX has left the session, a possible disconnect there. Ngawako DWAX currently down in P13, so hopefully he can rejoin the lobby and reestablish a connection so that he can finish this race properly. Kaboza all the way down in P14, Tempo P12, Man Ray P11, Tindo is 10th, trying to catch up to the back of Mandla, aka Romeo, currently P9, and Zotal, we've mentioned, is in P8. Don Ramico, dominant once again, 6-second advantage he has to the P2 running Loveness, who really did his best to try and catch up, as there we go, and Ngawako DWAX has rejoined the lobby, and thankfully for him, he's back in contention to claim a decent points finish if he can fight his way back up the pack. Fensei, sadly, in that fight against Sun Hashira, has racked up another 3-second time penalty, not having such a great time out here. It's a beautiful car, that Scarlet Red Ferrari, driver number 7, and not having such a great time out here today, being put under an insane amount of pressure by Bongani, aka Debo Croc. If you've just joined us, welcome to lap 8. The sprint race earlier on was wildly entertaining, and we've had some decent moments in the feature race, I can definitely tell you that. Lemisway says there's some tier 3 guys that can give some of these guys a run for their money. As far as the racecraft and race pace is concerned here today, well, it's been certainly a case of shaking off the cobwebs for some of these guys in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Here comes Debo Croc, now through Magnuson Beckett, now down towards this back straight. He will have a run, he will go side by side, and Debo Croc will claim P5 without much of a fight from Fensei, who huffed and puffed but could not hang on. And now it's Bongani's turn to hunt down Sun Hashira, who is running those hard compound tires. So Sun Hashira will definitely run a much longer initial tire stint as they now cross the line to begin their eighth lap of this race, being led by Don Rabico and Loveness, who started this race on a soft compound of tire. Sun Hashira has caught up, meanwhile, to the back of Bankowi, as Mandla has overtaken Man Ray for P10. It looks like Man Ray's had a moment there because he slipped down to P12. But what we're focusing on right now is Bankowi versus Sun Hashira. How much of the battery has been used up in that Alfa Romeo ahead? Because Sun Hashira has been biding his time as Bankowi had a little bit of a moment with the curve there. Sun Hashira, well within a second, just biding his time, and into Cops will take that with absolute confidence. Both these drivers on a hard compound of tire, and Sun Hashira much more confident through Maggots, and now into Beckett's right on the gearbox of the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. It is the battle for P3 in this early stage of the race, and as I say that, Bankowi's red light is flashing. He's used up most of his battery power, and here comes Sun Hashira now into Stowe, and will be lining it up before the Vale chicane. Who will be braver on the brakes? It looks like Sun Hashira is pretty much on the exact same line as Bankowi there. Sun Hashira is driving, being praised by Uncle Savvy in the comment section. Let's see whether or not he can keep up a decent amount of performance here. Oh, looks like he did not take the most confident line into the first corner. Bankowi managing to hang on to that P3 spot. Even though Bankowi has fallen 5 seconds behind the P2 running Loveness, who's having a sensational day out here. Meanwhile, Zotal versus Fensei, the Ferrari driver who started off this day so well, is slipping further and further behind, inching further and further down the pack. Man Ray has left the session. It's a potential disconnect there. Hopefully he can rejoin the lobby like Ngawako, aka Diwap, D-Wax did a little bit earlier. Fensei, having a moment, a little bit of a snap there on the exit of that corner. Fensei watching his mirrors and really forgetting to watch the road ahead of him, but Zotal will not need too much of an invitation. Now through Cobb, Zotal lifting off the throttle there, trying not to make contact into Meganson Beckett. They will go, and Zotal much more confident there. Fensei having a little bit of a moment. This is slow moving. Oh, it's a moment of contact. It's 3 cars making huge contact. It was Fensei straight into the back of Sun Hastra. What in the world is happening there? It was Fensei into Sun Hastra, and then Zotal straight into that melee. What in the world was going on? It could be a case of Fensei's glitch that we saw earlier that perhaps bamboozled Sun Hastra. But as I say that, Fensei and Zotal opting to come into the pits. Man, oh man, oh man. I can barely believe some of the scenes that we have seen out here today. Zotal into the pits. It's a tire change. I thought that could have been a wing change as well for Zotal, but he opted not to do so. Fensei, bizarrely, goes onto a set of soft compound tires, which will, of course, lose all their rubber much quicker than the other compounds. So, well, he's got a lot of racing still to go. It's only lap 11 of 26, so that's an interesting tire choice by Fensei there. The race still led by Don Ravico in clear command and control of this race. Now 10.5 seconds of Loveness in P2. Ban Kobe has a little bit of breathing room, courtesy of some of the shaky moments by the drivers who were chasing him. Still in the podium places is Ban Kobe. Has to contend with Debo Croc, who's done really well to now possibly be putting Ban Kobe under pressure. 1.4 seconds behind the Alfa Romeo, but as I say that, Debo Croc into the pits for his mandatory stop. So Sun Hastra has yet to stop. As Loveness had also pitted there. So Ban Kobe promoted up to P2. So this is the situation, folks, as far as pit stops are concerned. Donathan Laka, Zotal, Fensei, Kapoza, and among the front runners, Loveness is the first to pit. So we'll get a sense of when Don Ravico will eventually pit. And after the likes of Ban Kobe, Sun Hastra, and Mandela have pitted, we'll get a sense of just how well Loveness may still be doing. A lot of racing still to go, folks. It's only lap 12 of a total 26. If you've just joined us, it's been a very, very entertaining feature race, as was the case with the sprint race as well. Let's catch up now with Donathan Laka hunting down D-Wax. Wacko, a.k.a. D-Wax. Ooh, that was a little bit of a moment. He was peeking on the inside there, trying to get that move done. And well, he is not infallible. Don Ravico, rookie mistake, speeding in the pit lane, 5-second time penalty, as Donathan Laka is trying to overtake D-Wax. But one of these two drivers is really glitching, because just as it looks like they're side by side, they glitch their way out of contention. Is that D-Wax who's glitching? Seemingly so, as Donathan Laka ghosts through. But no, he is not. Look at that. Well, that is interesting. Some glitches that we're noticing there between D-Wax and Ngawako, as Don Ravico has finally come into the pits among the leading pack of drivers. He's got that time penalty, remember, so that will give the likes of Loveness some hope, as Tempo Temba has a little bit of a snap there on the exit of the final corner to begin his 13th of 26 laps. Hunting down Loveness now, who's already made their pit stop. And, just a couple of the drivers of the leading pack yet to make their pits. Ban Kobe, Sun Hastra, Mandla, and this man, Seppo Temba. Well, folks, we've really got an interesting race in prospect here. Ban Kobe yet to stop is now being closed down by Don Ravico. And as I say that, it's an Aston Martin 2-3. Don Ravico with that 5-second time penalty is being put under pressure somewhat by his teammate, that being Sun Hashira. But it is advantage Don Ravico because Sun Hashira's battery power is down all the way to about 7% as he tries to use it to make sure that he stays within touching distance. That rear wing is open. Sun Hashira did manage to catch DRS of Don Ravico, but having used up pretty much all of his battery power, well, he may not have enough of the tank, so to speak, to take advantage. Sun Hashira calls it, is now into the pits, and the leader of the race, lap 14, is Ban Kobe. What a day for the Alfa Romeo driver. Really, really good day for Ban Kobe. Leading this race is in clear air and was looking very, very good. I've got updated point standings, and I got to give a word of appreciation to the people at BrakeAway's FIA, so to speak. None other than Kid K, who sent an updated point standings after the sprint race. Ban Kobe, who was looking really good in the sprint, moved up 4 places in the standings. Ban Kobe currently P14 in the driver standings after that sprint race. Ban Kobe now has a total of 11 points. And I tell you what, if he stays in the top 3 spots in the podium places, he will absolutely leapfrog so many drivers and find himself possibly in the top 7 of the driver standings if Ban Kobe can stay in the podium places. As I say that, Ban Kobe calls it in the 14th of 26 laps. He will switch his hard compound tires, presumably for mediums. And as he comes in, Sun Hashira, who had already pitted, is now hunting down Fensei. It's the battle that we had seen earlier on as Don Ravico reclaims the lead of the race. Sun Hashira has just claimed a 3-second time penalty. Don Ravico is back in the lead of the race. And now where will Ban Kobe come out relative to Loveness? Oh, the answer is behind Loveness. Sadly for Ban Kobe, if you look at the track map, Loveness is now making his way down towards the midpoint of that first sector. And even Bongani, Debo Croc, has managed to overtake Ban Kobe. But sadly for Bongani, remember, it's got that 3-second time penalty. So now, with fresher tires, Ban Kobe may yet give Debo Croc a lot to think about before this race is said and done. Donovan Laka, currently P5. Decent day for him. Caboza racks up a 3-second time penalty. It's been a nightmare for the Williams driver, currently in P11. Zotal is P6. And we'll get a sense of what the possible battles are here. Zotal in that P6 spot, a second and a half behind Donovan Laka. And Fensei is being hunted down, as we had mentioned earlier on, by Sun Hashira. Now, towards Cops they go. Lap 15, Sun Hashira thought about the inside, but relented and said, no, I will lift off the throttle. Fensei goes off track there, under pressure, under duress from Sun Hashira into Magasin Beckett. Look how much more confident Sun Hashira is, or is he? Fensei has a slight moment there, coming through Beckett, and now it's going to be Sun Hashira with DRS, It's going to be the easiest of overtakes, as he now goes straight past the Ferrari down towards Stowe Corner, and will now set his sights, will Sun Hashira, on Zotal, who is a further 3.5 seconds ahead of the Aston Martin driver. Beautiful overtake we saw over there. Man Ray has been dipping in and out of the lobby. Hopefully he can find his way back. Tindo languishing down at P12. He is hunting down Caboza, whose mediums are 12 laps old. Remember, Caboza had to pit early, courtesy of that huge moment earlier on in the race, which cost him his front wing. Fensei racks up another 3-second time penalty. On board we go. Oh! Caboza going over the corners, and Caboza, whose car went completely airborne, could not prevent that moment. Tindo overtaking him completely. City Boy Radical, so says Grimjaw in the comments section. Grimjaw, of course, one of the drivers to watch out for in the BrakeAway Racing League ladder. before long, I wouldn't bet against the Grimjaw finding himself fighting his way up the BrakeAway Racing League ladder and up towards Tier 1, perhaps in the near future. Tindo, got that overtake done cleanly, courtesy of Caboza's, moment in the air there. But he'll be happy with that moment being done and dusted. Seppo Temba is ahead of Tindo. Is about 5.6 seconds ahead of Tindo. And Seppo Temba is trying to catch up to Mandla. But that gap currently hovering at about 3 seconds. Can Seppo Temba get it done? Well, the answer may yet be yes. It was 3. It is now inching down to about 2.9 seconds. So, yeah, it's holding steady. Seemingly, as I say that, it just hovers back at the 3-second mark. So we will see how he fares, does Seppo Temba at this current point. Now, through the Vale chicane comes Seppo Temba down towards the final corner and the Hamilton Straight down towards turn number 1. Now, as we mentioned in last week's race, Seppo Temba really has had a nightmare season by his lofty standards. But courtesy of the race last week in the Circuit of the Americas, Seppo Temba managed to find himself in the points. He's racked up 8 points in this season so far. Seppo Temba currently P16 in the driver's standings. But as I say that, he racks up a 3-second time penalty. So not quite smooth sailing for Seppo Temba, but he's still in the points. M. Fundo in the comment section says Caboza believes he can fly. Having seen the Williams go airborne there. It's the remix to that particular song, according to M. Fundo in the comment section. Zotal still P6, trying to eke out some sort of an advantage to Donovan Laka. Zotal driving for Red Bull, back in the colors of Red Bull. Those of you who've been watching BrakeAway Racing League for years would know that Zotal occupied this Red Bull seat for quite some time before, finding his way into other constructors' teams. And as things stand, Zotal is trying to eke out that advantage and make it a little bit of a fight between himself and Donovan Laka. That gap is shrinking slowly but surely, and Zotal has really made inroads as far as his driving and his consistency is concerned. We'll all remember, if you've been a long-time viewer of BrakeAway Racing League, when this man was on the controller, he was, pretty much in another stratosphere, giving this entire top tier a lot to think about. He then switched to the racing wheel, and it was a long adaptation process for Zotal, and eventually has found a groove, has found a semblance of confidence. And Zotal started this season in red-hot form. It wasn't smooth sailing in Miami. For Zotal, who has a little bit of a moment and puts himself at risk of being caught by Sun Hashira, who is now within DRS. Zotal started this season with a P11 in Miami. He then claimed 3 straight podiums, P2, P2, P2 in Abu Dhabi, in Imola, and once again in Monaco, before a P7 finish in Australia. So Zotal trying to catch up to Donovan Laka, and as he does that, as his red light is flashing, meaning that battery is down to 10% or less, Sun Hashira can smell blood here. Sun Hashira can smell a possible overtake opportunity. So folks, if you've just tuned in, we are set potentially for a delicious 3-way battle between the McLaren of Donovan Laka, the Red Bull of Zotal, and the Aston Martin of Sun Hashira, whose teammate has been absolutely imperious in that 16-second lead in the front. Sun Hashira is going to give Zotal a lot to think about. Sun Hashira is on Zotal's gearbox as Zotal's helmet weaves and bobs to the left, to the right, trying to look at which mirror Sun Hashira is going to attack from. Sun Hashira dives on the inside of Zotal in towards Kopp's corner. Will it be a Verstappen and Hamilton moment? Zotal goes completely off the track, trying to fight, trying to keep an advantage, but it's Sun Hashira up to P6 with an absolutely clinical move, and Zotal tries he might could not defend, could not hang on to that P6 spot. Sun Hashira on those 5-lap-old medium compound tires will now hunt down Jonathan Laka. What an interesting race it has been for Sun Hashira today. Kindo, the latest driver to rack up a 3-second time penalty. Man, oh man, Tier 1, what is going on? It's a time penalty shootout. Oh, look at that! It's Jonathan Laka having a moment with Composer's sausage curve over there, and that will cost him dearly because Sun Hashira will show no mercy. 4/10 of a second is the gap now between Sun Hashira and Jonathan Laka. On board we go with the Aston Martin driver who breaks later into turn number 1. And Jonathan Laka knows what he has to do. As I say that, Sun Hashira is trying to put the McLaren under pressure. Jonathan Laka defends the inside line. Will Sun Hashira attack into this corner? Ooh, Jonathan Laka compromised his line because of that defensive line that he took. That sausage curve has a name, so says Billy Hendricks in the comments section. It is Zotal versus Jonathan Laka versus Sun Hashira. A 3-way fight as Van Kobe racks up a time penalty further on. Sun Hashira thought about going for it, but he could not get that move done into Kopp's corner, so he will bide his time once again. It's a beautiful 3-way fight we have here. All these drivers within 0.2 of a second of each other. Makes that 0.3 as far as Zotal is concerned. We're going to hop on board with him. He's got the front row seat to this battle between Sun Hashira and Jonathan Laka. Zotal's battery is down. Oh, too huge, but Sun Hashira on the same stretch of track overtakes the McLaren. So does Zotal down towards Stowe. It's a beautiful double overtake, so to speak. Sadly for Jonathan Laka, he loses 2 places in the space of a single stretch of track. Man, oh man, oh man, what a sensational race we've got here. And now Zotal is fighting back. Zotal is flashing. Is Sun Hashira flashing? We've got Jonathan Laka who's got the front row seat to these two fighting it out. But as they do, of course, it will bring Jonathan Laka back into the potential reckoning. Ooh, Zotal takes a cleaner line into that right-hander. Sun Hashira trying to defend, but coming a little bit unstuck there and may yet have a moment here as his tires start to age ever so slowly. It's a softer, faster compound of tire as Van Kobe is having an almighty tussle with Debo Croc a little bit further on as we're watching this 3-way battle between Jonathan Laka, Zotal, and Sun Hashira. Battles all over the track. Oh, huge moment! It's Sun Hashira spinning out of contention, and he tumbles down to P7, meaning that Jonathan Laka will now have a clean run towards Zotal as another 5-second time penalty for Don Radical. What is going on today? On board we go with Jonathan Laka. It is mistakes aplenty, mistakes galore in this also entertaining race in the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League as we see Zotal have a huge moment struggling to find grip on the exit of Beckett. We will have 4 sensational laps of racing to go as Don Radical has opted to go for a soft tire compound and will hunt down Loveness. Remember, Don Radical must have served that 5-second time penalty that he got earlier, and right now he racked up another 5-second time penalty. So Loveness potentially is set for a memorable potential race victory here as we watch this battle start to fizzle out between Jonathan Laka and Zotal here. What beautiful battling they have given us as we now try to catch up with the drivers fighting it out for that P2 spot. It is Debo Croc versus Bongani, Debo Croc versus Van Kobe. Both of these drivers have 3-second time penalties. Both of these drivers are fighting for that P2 spot. Loveness is way down the road, almost 10 seconds ahead of this pair, the Alfa Romeo and the Williams driver, fighting it out for that P2 spot. They all have 3-second time penalties, as does Don Radical, who has a 5-second time penalty, mind you. So Don Radical will really be fighting for his life to even hang on to P4 as things currently stand. What is Don Radical doing, says Definitely Duke in the comment section. Barely believing the choices that Don Radical has made. Perhaps Don Radical perhaps he's overconfident that he can catch up and surpass and still have enough in the bag to overcome that time penalty that he will have to contend with. Right now, we are watching Debo Croc versus Van Kobe. Debo Croc has, of course, the advantage as far as battery power is concerned. Van Kobe is racing in clean air, but, of course, he will not have DRS advantage that Debo Croc will just be looking forward to. Mandla sadly has been kicked out of this lobby. One of many drivers who've had network issues with this particular lobby. So the servers really being unkind to a lot of our drivers here today. We do commiserate with Mandla, who has been in a decent vein of form as far as claiming points is concerned. We have about 3 laps of racing here to go. It is Debo Croc versus Ban Colby, potentially versus Don Ravico as the championship leader is inching closer. Oh, Debo Croc, a huge mistake. And Don Ravico will say thank you very much without having to fight for it. Don Ravico now up to P3. And Debo Croc sadly having a huge moment and spitting out of potential contention for the podium spots. And Ban Colby, who was pretty much using up all of his battery trying to keep Debo Croc at bay, will now have to contend with the specter of Don Ravico. What can Don Ravico do between now and the end of proceedings? Oh, the answer is crash straight into the back of that Red Bull. What is going on? Don Ravico now slipping all the way down to P4. Was that Man Ray's car? I think that was Man Ray's car that he crashed into. What in the world is going on? Don Ravico tries to re-overtake Debo Croc. He does so, and how much damage did he take? In one of the most bizarre races of the BrakeAway Racing League season, we have seen crashes, glitches, attempted overtakes. It's another moment of contact with that slow-moving Red Bull. And, well, it's advantage Ban Colby. Billy Hendricks sensing some behavior of a very popular driver in some of the top racing leagues in the world. Man, oh man, oh man, what is going on? Well, Don Ravico's attempted fight back is, going to have a lot to do. He's got 2 laps to try and eke out some sort of a positive result here. But it's not going to be easy at all. Folks, this is the gap to the leader as far as all of the drivers are concerned. Loveness leads with 2 laps of racing to go. Loveness, I think, might yet be on the verge of lapping the likes of Caboza here. Loveness leads by almost 9.5 seconds. Loveness leads Caboza, who is just snatched the fastest lap, but Caboza sadly will not get a point for that because he's outside the top 10. Caboza, the quickest driver on track, asking stand. Ban Colby, as we've mentioned, 9.5 seconds behind the race leader. Don Ravico is about 13 seconds behind the race leader. Debo Croc, Bongani is about 16 seconds, and then we have, of course, that Donovan Laka, who is about 18 seconds behind the race leader. Zotal not too far behind, as we can see. Sun Hashira is way behind, 27 seconds behind the race leader. And then Seppo Temba still in the points. Still a good day for Seppo Temba, considering the way that his season has gone. Tindo, P9, and Kawako D-Wax will still come home in the points. P10, decent day at the office for Ngawako, but knowing him, he would have wanted so much more from this race. Well, folks, Caboza has crashed out. Oh, Loveness, what in the world happened? Did Loveness and Caboza crash out? Loveness has crashed out from the lead of the race. Loveness is out, and Ban Colby is on the verge of a potential race win in the penultimate lap of the race. What is going on? I can barely believe this. Loveness was on the verge of a sensational race victory. A sensational race victory. But he crashes out in the penultimate lap of the race. And now Ban Colby is going to begin barely believing his luck, barely believing the situation. Now, Ban Colby needs a 2-second buffer. Heartbreak for Loveness, says Definitely Duke. Ban Colby needs 2 seconds. If he gets overtaken by Don Radical, which is very likely, we know the quality of Don Radical, Ban Kobe needs to hang on for dear life and keep a 2-second gap between himself. But before he does that, he will need to defend for his life with Ban Kobe. Look at Don Radical. He weaves to the left. He weaves to the right. Oh, Ban Kobe makes that car as wide as possible before they get to Magnussen Beckett. He's flashing as Ban Kobe. Will Don Radical go for it? They make a little bit of contact, but Ban Kobe hangs on for dear life. That red light is flashing. Could Ban Kobe do the impossible here? Could Ban Kobe do it as Lizazzi laments Loveness, and they're side by side, and Don Radical will get this move done on track, but he may not have enough time as they come through Stone now. Ban Kobe better not make a mistake if he is to claim one of the most sensational race results here. Don Radical, as things stand, will come across the line, past the Vale chicane through the final corner, and Ban Kobe wins the British Grand Prix from Don Radical, and Jonathan Lacka comes home in P3. Lizazzi says, "Let's go, Ban Kobe." Oh man, oh man, oh man. Ban Kobe was sensational in the sprint race, and he wins the British Grand Prix in one of the most insane races in the top tier you will ever see. Don Radical, Jonathan Lacka, P2 and P3. Devo Croc, P4. A sensational day for him. Tindo, 10-second time penalty for track limits. Zotal comes home in P5. Sun Hashira, P6. Sun Hashira having a huge moment. He's completely stationary there. Seppo Temba, decent result, all things considered. And Kawako Dwax will come home to claim P8. He was languishing, possibly on the verge of being outside of the points. Tindo will come home in P9, and Fensate, despite all that, P10. Romeo, of course, the ghost there of P11, and Man Ray P13. I want to hear your driver of the day. We've seen Don Radical battle time penalties, battle all sorts of glitches and moments of contact, but still fought his way up to the podium spots. We have a new race winner this season. After Don Radical and Smirts Tangle, Ban Kobe is on the top step of the podium. Donovan Lacka voted driver of the day. And man, oh man, oh man. Man Ray says, Ban Kobe is straight up driver of the day. As Tullo says, Ban Kobe did what needed to be done there. As far as claiming all the points except for the fastest lap of the race. Phenomenal racing by Ban Kobe, says Uncle Savvy. Lizazzi, of course, cheering on Ban Kobe, and sad for Loveness. Not sure what happened there. S. Buddha was barely believing what was happening as far as the quality or the lack thereof of racing that we saw here today. But the first person to join us in the lobby is the man who has taken Tier 1 by storm, has taken this entire championship trophy by storm, and today was absolutely imperious in the sprint race and sensational in the feature race. Don Radical, I don't know how you do it. Take us through the madness of that race and take us through that final lap. You versus Ban Kobe. Congratulations, P2.
Thank you. No, the guys, they've been complaining, saying that I'm winning too much, so I need to give them a chance. So I said, let me give them a chance. But then Loveness crashes. What happened, Loveness? Man. Loveness had it in the bag.
He really had it in the bag. It was Loveness's race to lose. We were literally on the verge of going to check out how Loveness was doing, and then we saw that he had absolutely crashed out. Sorry for that, Kid K. I was focusing on the commentary there, but just take us through. Obviously, you were trying your best to catch up with Ban Kobe there. Take us through his defense, because that was so entertaining to watch.
No, it was nice. I actually caught him a while back, but then I got hit by the ghost of Bram Henry. His ghost didn't want to move out of the way, and I forgot that the ghost cars don't move out of the way. So thank thankfully, I didn't get damaged and I could reset and carry on chasing him. But yeah, no, it was enjoyable race. I really enjoyed it. It's been a nice season. I'm looking forward for next season. I think I won't race the last two races just to give the other guys a nice battle for themselves. They'll enjoy it.
Must be nice. But the man in the top step of the podium, it's Van Kobe who wins the British Grand Prix. Congratulations. Take us through number one. That race, you were brilliant in the sprint race. Your race start was out of this world. And just take us through those final few laps, your defense of Don Rabico and that fight, Van Kobe. Congratulations.
Yo. Sure, thank you, Tyson. I don't think you realize this is my first win since 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So it feels really good, even though it was given. But on my side, I fought for it. I really did. Haven't been away from the game for so long. I think this game is good to me. Thank you to EA Sports for trying to recreate the greatness of what 2021 was.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, it was hectic. And yeah, I tried to defend against Don, but he was too fast, man. And I think I was running a high downforce setup, so on the straights I was really slow. And yeah, I was struggling, but I fought, man. I really.
Yeah.
It was good, man. It was good. Good to be back, though. I think I was number 19. I wonder where these points put me because I was avoiding relegation by all means necessary.
Man, oh man, and what a sensational race you had. I'd love to hear what are your thoughts? How are you feeling on this game? Now, this is almost the end of this season. How are you feeling for next season in terms of the way that you might be able to be fighting in the Tier 1?
Angzubashi, if I give it time, I'm back.
Oh man.
I think this game is going to be good to me. There's that connection because 2022 was just mess for me. I couldn't get a hang of how the game works. I couldn't get setups right. So with this one, even with high downforce, because that's my style, I'm able to perform. So I think maybe top 5 next season.
All right. Oh, man, it's so good to see you back driving with so much confidence. Gentlemen, congratulations. In the next race, we go to Belgium. That is also a beautiful track that I know many drivers enjoy. I can't wait to see how both of you do. We could not get Jonathan Lacka, sadly, in the commentary booth, so we will have to catch up with him another time. Hashtag Ngizobashia, says Man Ray in the comment section. And Don Rabico, we cannot wait to see how you do, of course, not only the rest of the season, but as next season rolls along and as more of the quicker Tier 2 drivers join the fray, and as the likes of Django also get used to the racing wheel as well. So congratulations, gentlemen. We will see you hopefully in Belgium.
See you there, guys.
My name is Bangobi, not gentleman. Thank you.
Sure. Van Kobe and Jonathan Lacka, your top 2 drivers here today. Thank you very much. Before we wrap up the stream, catching up with the last of the comments section, some words of appreciation for Van Kobe there. Kid K, apologies for my little, not focusing on the screen while I was so cooped up in the commentary, but I'll make sure that I have the correct number of finishers or the correct order as far as tallying the points is concerned. So, Debo Croc is in the comment section as well, responding to Van Kobe there. A decent points haul for everybody there. It's been a good one, folks. We will see you for Tier 3 on Tuesday. And then we will have Tier 2 on Wednesday. That is both at 8 p.m. and Tier 1 at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday. Thank you, everybody, and good night.